Hello there people, CJ here. So, I was scrolling on social media, like we all do, a couple days ago, and I'm seeing these how to mix vocals posts. How do you master and mix your tracks? And I see so many people commenting on these posts, believing most of it, but the reality is that most of it is wrong, and they're teaching you the wrong stuff. So these people who are posting the stuff, they're mainly doing it for their own benefit, for money. And I've always done things a bit differently. I'm not gonna advertise this video anywhere, really. I just hope the right people will find it. So I'm just gonna focus with this first one on how you mix vocals, the basics from bottom to top. And it's nothing too special really. But there are some tricks you need to know, something you wanna do. And this is mostly for new producers, but maybe the more experienced ones might learn something too. And if you guys like it, if this video gets off to a good start for me, maybe I will show you some more stuff. And maybe you wanna ask me in the comments what you wanna see. Maybe I will make another video just for the hell of it, why not? So, I've been making music for something like 15 years now. I started off with playing guitar at 10 years old. I'm now 29 and started up with electronic music. Maybe I was 15 years old at that time. And I've really been doing it actively since then. So now you're thinking I should be really, really famous. Why is this guy talking? Why is he wanting to tell me something? Well, you see, my biggest issue was really devotion to this music career. I never really truly believed in it, but I always wanted to get better and I just did it for myself. However, I did manage to get on my favorite artist's label, Illegal Beats, label by Mr. Bill, and that just kind of proved to myself that I really know what I'm doing with this stuff, because those guys, they are some of the best in the industry with audio engineering. Another thing, let's be real, I don't have the imagination maybe Mr. Bill has on his tracks. I can't get close and I don't think I have the talent really, but I still do it all the time. And I know most of the technical stuff you need to know about audio engineering. So, let's get to it. Alrighty, so here we are. First, a couple of disclaimers. I'm not a singer by any means. I can hit tones and notes pretty well, but my voice control is not the best. This is just for demonstration. However, I actually sing on some of my older songs and some recent ones as well. It's completely possible to make it sound, actually anything really sound releasable with some proper editing and mixing. Even bad recordings are usable a lot of the time, but how you do it is the question. Also, I'm only going to use FL stock plugins for this one, and the reason being, this is mainly directed towards new producers and guys who are starting off learning how you do these things. So this is something everybody should be able to do who owns some FL stock plugins. Also, I want to highly suggest people to buy FL or some other software. I know not everybody has bought it, and many people start off with some questionable software, but it's not so expensive and it's totally worth it. Now, what you've been hearing in the background here is just a random project of mine. The reason being is I want you to be familiar with the song we are going to work with, so you get the idea of the song and the vocals, how they are fitting in here. And you know, it's not so complicated in the end, it's pretty simple, but the vocals should provide some good examples here for us, because there's some effects, also distortion, they're widened, and behind all of that is the basic vocal mixing procedure that you're always looking for when you have recorded something raw So, something quite interesting about this track is that I actually recorded this same vocals, only the first part of it with my old mic. I actually just bought this mic. I'm using the pod mic by Rode, and I really like it. I'm still learning to mix with it. But just to show you the difference. This is vocals with my old mic and a couple of paid plugins. Only actually, I think, distortion and dynamics by kilohertz compared to this new mix I made. And I don't know, I think I already like the new microphone a bit more. I gotta run away from you. I gotta run. So let's take a listen to this actually. Let's single out these vocals with the full mix here. I gotta run. I gotta run away from you. I gotta run, but I'm not scared of you. I gotta run away from you. Something to note, which I will touch on later, is I have a layer on it, just a full-on stereo layer, and this is just using this FL Studio own stereo delay. It's a Haas delay, what it's called actually. So if we go in here and write Haas, it basically just separates the left and right channels and makes it completely stereoized. That's the word. And it's sounding like this because it's going through all of this processing and it's only picking up the loudest parts basically currently. So no need to wonder about it. So how do we go to this? Actually, let's just put everything on 49 since it's empty. From this. I gotta run away from you. I gotta run. Something you actually might notice is that my mic, which I'm talking to right now, the voice you're hearing is also processed. It's something I wanted to do for my videos, since only a small part of content creators actually edit their actual sound. Then again, they are 10 times better editing videos than me, so I guess it balances out. Let's go through everything step by step here. Oh yeah, this is a separate one. I had to re-record it actually because the original one sounded a bit bad in my opinion. This is something you can do with your vocals, and actually this is something everybody does. They take many recordings and only include the best ones. This is something Billie Eilish said in an interview, and it's very common. Don't be afraid to do this. It's not unprofessional. You're making a record for releasing. It should be whatever is perfect in your mind. I made this part today and I'm not actually too happy with everything here, but it will provide a good idea for you guys. So let's go through everything step by step here. So the first thing you actually want to do is find your lowest frequencies, which are below your voice's root notes, your lowest note and harmonic in your sound, and anything below this is actually not a part of your voice, and mainly just something you don't want there is this strongest line here. Basically you don't want anything below that. But since my vocals, they are going all the way to whatever this is, like 50 hertz or something, I guess I have a low voice. I have to cut out only a small part of it. This top part you actually don't need to mind. You can lower it a little bit if you want. depends on your mic. And well, there is only content that nobody will ever hear. So both this top part, which is minor, and the lowest sounds are just going to fill up your amplitude spectrum, which is going to raise your volume on your vocals, which is something you don't really want. This will not actually be audible to you, but if I single out this bottom end, this is what we're taking out. So additionally, with this lower part, it will actually interfere with your bass and sub-bass. In my case, it's a bit unlucky. For female vocals, it's much clearer because their root note will be much higher. So you will be able to take out much more of this background noise that would interfere with your low end. Next up, I'm using FL limiter. And there are two parts that you need to pay attention to here. I gotta run away. First one is this noise gate. This is something I actually learned quite late in my music making career, if I may say so. I gotta run away from you. I gotta run. So what I'm doing with this noise gate and what it's doing is I'm cutting out these parts, my breathing noises. So what it actually does is I'm gonna lift this threshold just above that part. This release is how quickly it will stop doing whatever it's gonna do. And what it's doing is this gain is controlling, it's taking out, as you can see, it's going downwards. It's taking out this part. Everything that's below this line will get deleted basically. I gotta run away from you. I gotta run. So this is a good example right here. The same part. But yeah, it's taking out this, and the release part is at what moment it will cut out. I think for me something a bit below 100 milliseconds is good. You can see it up here on the left, the time. It's something you will be looking at quite a lot when you're making music actually. This top left part. I gotta run. Another part is ceiling. The basic thing what a limiter does is you're just gonna cut out anything that's going over this line, and you can see it. You can see it on this. Whenever something crosses the green line here, this white line is the actual volume that's going out, and it's cutting out the tops. So the way you actually do this is you find some part like this. You have a good amount of vocals here, good amplitude, and there's something that's basically almost clipping here. It's not gonna clip because of my mic, but it's too high. And you basically want to even out your vocals a little bit. And you do this at this early part because anything after this will be affected by these peaks. And what you do after this is actually compression. So let's go to this part. That's way too much. Now it's leaving this part completely untouched. This is what I want. And I would just want to cut out a bit of this top. If I'm really precise, actually, this is a bit unprofessional because this part is just louder than most of the other stuff here. So taking this down manually a little bit would be the best choice, actually. Now I can reduce this a bit more. From you, I gotta run, but I'm not scared of you leaving the shadows. I gotta run. If you're wondering, yes, I have a little bit of auto-tune on this one. I did it before this video. You can hear it here. Shadow. And the reason is I want it to sound a bit auto-tuned in the end because this is a drum and bass track, and if we are honest, almost everybody uses auto-tune in one way or another. So, I'm just checking that my mic is still recording here. Next up, I'm using the multiband compressor here. And the purpose of this is to even out the mids and the lows a bit more still, and de-essing. So basically multiband compression is you have 3 bands, you can move them and it will snap the other one to the midpoint of the other one of whatever you just moved. And for de-essing, it really depends a bit on your mic, not so much on your voice, because the S's will be pretty much on the same place every time. So for me, 6000, I'm still learning a bit with my new mic, but 6000 seems to be a pretty good point for me. Run away from you. So by moving this threshold knob here on the mids and lows, I just wanted to touch a little bit and even out my mids and my lows. Touching the attack and release or anything else here is not so important. Usually lowering the release times a little bit. The original one is 100 milliseconds on the top left, you can see it. And just putting it to something like 50 is fine, but it's not really that important because you're just touching your mids and lows a little bit when compressing here. Run away. Then something that's quite important, especially on worse microphones, is you have it on, let's say, 6000, the crossover point. You're gonna raise up gain just a little bit. I have like 5-6 decibels here. I used to have something like 10 on my old mic. And then the threshold, you only want basically to touch your S's. And anything that's really high frequency, like my FS, SS, T's sometimes, stuff like that. Run away from you, I gotta run. So there you see my S. It's taking out almost all of my S. And if you want to perceive more of this, of the click sound on it, then you can raise your attack a little bit. And the release should also be something around 50 here. But it's not that something from, it could be anything from, let's say, 40 to 140. But the shorter, the more compact your vocals are, the more words you're putting in there, the shorter release you want, basically. It's gonna react faster. Run away from you. Now I hear the F is getting cut out a bit too much here. And it's probably because of this noise gate. From you, from now it's better. So now with and without the compressor, just much more clarity. And we are only slightly higher decibel. And it's actually quite important to maximize what you are getting into your decibels. You want to get out everything extra, like here. Everything extra from here. And the reason is you're maximizing the volume of your vocals. You're making it constant, and everything inaudible you're taking out. From you. Next up, this is basically just me touching on these vocals, trying to find what my mic is giving me. So just with a basic EQ, I can see it's picking up a lot of the low ones here. And the reason is this is a podcasting mic. So I'm just gonna cut out some of this low end. This is something that really depends on your mic and your genre, because this is a high intensity drum and bass track. And actually I found that when this particular EQ is showing you a straight line here, it's the frequencies are on the same level mostly. You're doing pretty well at that point. And since I have already de-essed my vocals here, I am comfortable with raising a little bit of the high end. Next up, something a bit different. So this is just a limiter, which I'm looking visually at my amplitude on my vocal track, because the next thing I'm doing is I'm compressing with the fruity compressor, and it doesn't have any visualizer, it doesn't tell you anything what's happening, so you have to manually look where you're at on the amplitude scale. So I'm having my crosshair here, which is telling me how many decibels I'm going below 0. And when I go here, it's telling me 7. So this is like an imaginary line here. And anything above this line will get compressed by this fruity compressor. So let's say 7 decibels, -7. And that's why I have -7 here. The ratio kind of depends on your genre. Anything above 5 and you're kind of restricting the dynamics of your glue compressor, which this is being used for basically here. Just stay between 1.5 and 4 or something, and you're good, depending on how aggressive your track is. So I'm going 2.5, let's say. Same thing here, release between, let's say, 30, 40 and 140, depending on how quickly your transients come after each other, how many transients you have, how fast you are singing. So on some faster rap vocals, you want a shorter attack and release for it to have time to react to all the words. And a singing track, you want a longer one. One reason I'm doing this is because I have routed my layer into this same track. And since I have 2 vocals going into this same track, I want to compress this part right here at this time, I mean, just to glue these 2 together a little bit more. On my layer track, I have basically the same thing. So I'm singing on a higher note here, which means my root note is going to be higher, and the lowest point in my vocals is thus higher as well. So this is why I'm putting a separate EQ here to because I'm able to cut out more of the low end. So the reason I'm processing this separately with basically the same stuff is because I want to de-ess and take out the unnecessary sounds from my layered vocal before using it as an addition to my main vocal. This EQ is basically coincidence why it's looking similar. However, I want my layered vocal here to have a bit more high end, and it's being actually routed through both channels, and it's more silent than the other vocal. So I need to do a separate compression and limiting for this one in order to cut out these peaks correctly here. So this layered vocal, it's basically usable as it is, but it's also getting processed 2 times. And since it's much more silent than the other one, you need to process it separately, especially for the peaks. Obviously, this depends on your recording. If you have a really good microphone and a studio setup, maybe you don't even need to use any limiters here. But let's be real, not everybody has a studio at home. and the other processing that it's gonna go through with the main vocal, it's basically going to glue them together just a bit more, and the peak controlling and low end cutting, it's not going to affect this part, this higher vocal at all really, when it goes through it the second time on this routed channel. And another reason for separating the higher end is obviously you might want some special kind of effects on it. So now you can quite freely edit this higher vocal. So together they sound like this now. It's sounding quite clean already. It's not bad. I like it. So anything after this is actually just effects. Anything you want on your vocals. Run away from you, I gotta run, but I'm not scared of you leaving the shadows. So I'm using through the chorus on this, pretty heavy actually, and I'm cutting off the low ends with this cross cutoff at about 600, and the reason being is I'm just basically looking at this. I don't want the lowest sounds to be stereo. Depth and delay is just gonna make it more detuned basically. Chorus means you have a chorus of the same sound playing on top of each other many times, and this is how delayed they're gonna be from each other. And depth is basically how quickly it's gonna oscillate the sound to be detuned. It's preference, but I like to have it quite a lot, and then you can have a little bit less of this mix here. Next up, this is a pretty heavy track, so I want some distortion on it. And I just found this fast dist by Fruity Loops as well. Yeah, it's heavy and I'm not really sure about it, but it should be good for now. Run away from you, I gotta run. And this final limiter is just to see what it's actually looking like here. Run away from you, I gotta run, but I'm not scared of you leaving the shadows. You wants to take me down, now I'm leaving the shadows. Run, run away from you, I gotta run, but I'm not scared of you leaving the shadows. You wants to take me down now. So I've routed our main vocal channel to the next one, which now has both of our vocals and all the effects. So what I've done here is I'm controlling these mix knobs with my peak controller. This is something I learned very early on. You can sidechain basically anything from anything using a peak controller. And now by modifying these knobs here, so you're looking to raise this amplitude here with your vocals just enough. And the more you raise here, the more you're gonna cut off from this when they are controlled by this peak controller. I will show you soon. Decay, how quickly they will basically react. This feels a bit wrong because the higher value you have, the faster it will actually work. The lower value, the slower it will react. So you can see it takes a long time to go back to its normal state now. So I like to lower it just a little bit to get smoother. You don't need this to be going back and forth too much. This mix knob here. So now you can see they are reacting to this amplitude. Hi, CJ from the future here, and I just noticed you can't see any of these pop-ups, but just listen and I think you will get it right. So what you do is you right-click on the knob, link to controller, and you find internal controller. In your internal controllers, you will find all of your automation clips and also peak controllers. So you select the middle one, which only says peak. Under this, you will find a mapping formula. This one is on default, which means it will react to the amplitude on your peak controller like it's showing you. So when it goes up, you will also turn the knob up. You want to invert this, so just choose the mapping formula inverted. After this, remember to unselect the button that says Remove Conflicts. If it's on, you can only route one of any knob to your peak controller. By unselecting this button, you can control however many you want of the knobs in your FL with any peak controller. So now you're getting clean vocals through with just a little bit of delay and reverb. And whenever the vocal stops, you get the big delay and big reverb, making it sound just that much more massive in the end. Then I just have some preference going on here with my vocals. I was basically listening to the track. And I hear so much of the low sound still coming through because I'm learning my mic and even how to record with the mic. So I just decided to cut out with the EQ because I have already compressed so much. Another way would be to use another multiband and just use the threshold knob here to remove even more of the low end, basically like a dynamic EQ. So now we know how to mix the vocals on a basic level, on a bad mic as well, and a bad setup. Something to note, which is quite important, is the order what you're doing stuff in. So for example, you always want to control your peaks. If you have a lot of peaks on your vocal track, then they will be affecting your compression, and you don't want that. You want your compressor to react constantly on a constant level and not get any big peaks where it's suddenly cutting out a lot and at other times not doing anything at all. Everybody has heard these stories about limiting, especially there's this meme about limiting on your master. There is a place for everything in music, and obviously when we are not talking about mastering here, and when limiting obviously is not good there on a larger scale, that's not something you only want to do, maybe sometimes, but I can make a video about that as well. On vocals, however, and any pads, any pianos, anything like this, which are not so full of transients and that you don't want to distort, you can cut peaks from with a limiter. And that's actually very good for your volume, for how loud your song will be in the end. So, thank you so much if you made it all this way to the end. Even if you skipped a lot, that's totally fine, my man. Tell me in the comments if you want to tell me, if you're interested in hearing something about what I just mentioned about mastering, maybe bass. I can show you my signature sounds, how I do them, anything you're interested in. Anyways, I've been CJ. Don't listen to my music and give me a dislike. Definitely do not subscribe, and have a good one. Bye bye.